Hi everyone, this is the flipped video lesson on your grades project. I would like for you to reference this video as many times as you need to, because this is going to be one of your majors for the third and the fourth quarter. So it is important that you understand what you're expected to do and be able to reference it if you can't ask me questions, like if you're working at home or some other place. Before proceeding, you need to have a working vocabulary that deals with data and statistics. Much of this is supposed to be reviewed from 6th grade. That doesn't mean that you remember it. I understand that. You're going to have hard copies of these notes in class, but they're also here for you to reference as well. The first one we're going to talk about is called a data set, which is a group of numbers you work with when working out a question with statistics. An example of that would be all of your grades that you're trying to average out for a quarter to figure out what your grade is. The next one is average. Notice that there are two types of averages, both of which tell you different types of information. They include the mean and the median. Usually you're going to be working with the mean. That's how your report card grades are calculated. But it is not always the best measurement that tells us or tells you if you understand something or not. We call mean the numerical average. It is calculated by first adding up all the numbers in a data set and then dividing that sum by the number of points in that data set. So let's say that you had 20 grades and the sum was 1,120. You would divide that number by 20, and that would calculate whatever the mean is. The median, on the other hand, is when you find out what the middle number is in a data set. First, you would order all the numbers from least to greatest, and then determine where that middle number is located. If you had 20 grades and your median, let's say, was a 79, that's going to give us a lot more information versus if you had a median of a 92. If you had a median of a 79, that means that half of your grades are above 79 and half are below. Versus if you have a median of a 92, that means that half of your grades are above 92 and below 92. It is possible to infer that in the second median of a 92 here, it shows that you have a stronger understanding of whatever it is that you are averaging. There's also some other vocabulary words that we're going to talk about. Line plots are one. This is a simple tally of the number of specific data points you have in a data set. A histogram, which is a special kind of bar graph that organizes data into groups or intervals of 10. And then box plots, which are also called box and whisker plots. It is a special kind of graph that organizes data into groups of 4 called quartiles. Box and whisker plots make really good pictures of understanding content. Let's look at an actual example of your data project. I'm going to go through and talk about this hypothetical student, and we're going to figure out how you're going to calculate what your grades are and how you'll keep track of that as the quarter proceeds. In this example, this student has 4 major grades. They have 8 homework grades, and let's look to see how many minors there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's 2 columns, so we have 22 grades. Now, altogether, this is 34 grades. You're not going to add all of these up and divide by 34. That would not give you the mean because your grade is calculated using what we call a weighted formula. And remember that weighted formula is how all grades are calculated for your report cards at Pine Hollow. Your first task here is to convert all of these scores into a score over 100. Do this for all of your assignments. A percent box will always do the trick. The following table will show you how to set up all of the grades into the percent box. The green score is the converted score after cross multiplying and then dividing. We're starting with our majors first. Remember that the first score was a 22 out of 25. Then this person got a 21 out of 30, an 18 out of 19, and a 21 out of 22. If you multiply 22 times 100 and divide by 25 and then round off to the nearest whole number, this person got an 88. Subsequently, this person also got a 70, a 95, and another 95. So this person's four converted scores are 70, 88, 95, and 95. Now let's do this for homework. And if you go through with a calculator and double check my work, which I encourage you to do, make sure that you also are rounding off to the nearest whole number. You will see this student got an 83, a 78, a 97, a 102, a little bit of extra credit there, 106, more extra credit there, a 73, an 80, and a 91. So this person's scores, if we wanted to list them, would be 73, 78, 80, 83, 91, 97, 102, and finally 106. When we calculate all the minor grades for this student, we see a large range here: 90, 82, 67, 94, 94, 95, 81, 95, 83, 91, 93, 81, 59, 88, 67, 88, 93, 75, 80, 95. The student also got a pair of zeros for not turning in assignments. Now that we have all the grades and they have been properly converted, it is time to find both the mean and median of all of your data. It is important, however, to keep the three categories separate. This will make everything else simpler. Now, the mean of the majors was an 87, the homework was an 88.8, and the minor was a 76.9. Here, round to the tenths place. I'm giving you in your project that you can be within 2 points of the PowerSchool grade. That is because I am asking you to round everything off to the nearest whole number. PowerSchool doesn't do that. It will convert those numbers all the way to the 10,000ths place automatically within the computer. So sometimes your grade will be a little off from PowerSchool, but it's going to be, or it should be rather, within 2 points. Now, the medians were 87 for homework, 85.5 for minors, and majors was 91.5. Remember, to calculate minors, you're going to list all of your grades from least to greatest, and then find what your middle number is. Now, before I proceed, which I did there, let me explain something to you about the differences between median and mean. The closer the mean and median are, the more accurate that number becomes in regards to explaining or showing that you understand something. Here, this student has an 87 for an average mean and a 91.5 for a median. This is a strong B, and this is a low A. But they are only 4.5 points apart from each other. That's not a lot. Homework is even more accurate. An 88.8 is the mean and an 87 is the median, with a difference of only 1 8/10 of a point. The minors, however, this shows a big difference. 76.9 for your minor is the mean, but yet the student scored an 85.5 in the median. This is because of those 2 zeros that were on the previous page. It takes 4 100s to bring a 0 to a low B average. It takes 3 to get that 1 0 to passing. So 300s it only gets it to passing. That's the only way that you can cancel out that 0. Those 2 zeros hurt the student tremendously, bringing that average to a C. However, the median shows an 85.5. As a teacher and you, which of these scores show a better understanding of material? Would it be the mean, which is factoring in assignments not turned in, or would it be the median, which factors in the midpoint of all of your attempted grades? In my opinion, the 85.5 right here is a much stronger indicator of how well you understand something. Now, let's show the weights for PowerSchool. To calculate your average to match what PowerSchool shows you, there are a few more conversions to complete. Remember that majors are 50%, minors are 40%, and homework is 10%. So, setting up a ratio box, we have your majors are worth out of 50, minors are worth out of 40, and homework is out of 10. You had already done these conversions and came up with 87, 76.9, and 88.8. If you cross multiply and divide, which I encourage you to check behind me, you're going to get 43.5 points as your majors, 30 and 8/10 of a point for your minors, and 8 and 88/100 of a point for homework. Now, if you had decided to put 8 and 9/10 here, that would have been fine. The overall grade would be then to add these new numbers up. 43.5 plus 30.8 plus 8.88. This person's grade is an 83.14. In PowerSchool, that would round off to an 83%. To do this as the quarter progresses, you'll have a worksheet that you will follow throughout the grading period. Once the grading period comes to an end, so you're going to do this in March during the last week of school, you're going to complete 3 more assignments based on your grades. You can't do this until the end because you won't have enough data. That includes a line plot, the MAD, and the box plot. First, let's look at your line plot. And this is, again, going for all of your grades that we looked at before. You only need to do a line plot for your minors. This, first of all, is a stem and leaf plot, which I did show all of you back earlier in the year. Remember that this column represents the tens place, and this represents the ones place. It's an easier way of showing information without having to write it all out. So this person has 2 zeros. This would be a 59. A pair of 67s is 75, 80, 81, 81, 82, 83, 88, 88, followed by 90, 91, 93, 93, 94, 94, 95, 95, and 95. Now, for a line plot, you would list each grade below once, even if there are multiple entries for one particular score, and put an X above that number for each data point. So we had a 0, 59, 67, 75, 80, 81, 82, 83, 88, 90, 91, 93, 94, 95. And then you just simply put X's or dots above how many of those you had. So there were 2 zeros, 1 59, and so on and so on. This is the simplest plot to make. To calculate the mean absolute deviation requires a little bit more work. Don't attempt this without a calculator. You can do it without a calculator, but there's really no need. What you have to do first is create a table and list all of your grades from least to greatest. You could do this with a stem and leaf plot if you wanted. So we have the 0, 0, so all the way down. Then remember that the average of your minors was a 76.9. To calculate the MAD, what you then do is subtract the mean from whatever that grade is. So 76.9 here minus nothing is negative 76.9. Remember that you're subtracting this grade. I think I wrote this incorrectly. I apologize for that. This would be the grade minus the mean. Yeah, I wrote it wrong. I'm sorry. So as you go through, you would then find the absolute value first of the negative numbers, because remember, you can't have negative distance. And you will find that the average of this entire set of numbers will equal out to be 17.1. On your project handout, you will find a calendar for every day in the third quarter. Beside it is a place for a grade. There will be days where multiple assignments may be given in one day and others where that will be left empty. You may not use every spot. Here's an example of what I'm talking about. This is just for the first week. So you have, I can tell you right now, there's not going to be a grade on Monday. But if I gave you 4 grades, let's say on Thursday, then just cross this out and put in that date. So let's say that I gave you a quiz that was out of 13 points and you got a 9. And it was, quizzes, remember, are minor. So you would write 9 out of 13 and circle or highlight what that minor was. That's all you got to do. Your IXLs would usually go on Friday. That's about it. Ask me if you have any questions, and I will see you in class.